What's up, guys? Today we're going to do a vlog over Prejudice and martial arts, and I have a stack of props here that I'm going to use to kind of talk about things. So, Prejudice and martial arts, okay? This is something that definitely exists. I've noticed it the entire time I'm training, doing martial arts. I'm going to do a follow-up vlog over ego and martial arts. So, check back for that. This will be our 16th vlog. We share those over to our Facebook and other social media, but you can find that in our YouTube playlist. So, Prejudice and martial arts. First, I'll start off by talking about how I'm guilty about this, right? And how I try and not be guilty of this anymore, and how I arrived at it, okay? So, when I first got started out coaching, I split rent with a karate school, right? And for the most part, I was open to things that they had to say, right? I've always been open to learning other styles, techniques, especially ones that, like, when I'm taught, I'm like, okay, they work, wow, right? That's kind of always been my approach and take. I've always studied from all these different sources. These are just a few books I grabbed off of my shelf. First one here, Prejudice, Bible of Karate. This is my buddy Steve Gorley's Japanese Jiu-Jitsu book. I've had it for like a lot of years. Sorry, Steve. Got some Jiu-Jitsu Unleashed, a little no-gi grappling for MMA. Eddie Bravo, Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Jean-Jacques. We got Bruce Lee. This is a great one. Complete Fighting Method. This is like 4 little mini versions he released that got compiled into a hardback. My mother-in-law got this for me for my birthday. Appreciate that. We got a judo book here. Got a book on Aikido here. And Greg Jackson's The Stand-Up Game for mixed martial arts. Right? So you gotta do that. Especially like it being in my role, I'm a coach. Like I've got to pull from outside sources. It's a must, okay? So, that being said, I'm a coach at a mixed martial arts gym. We do boxing, kickboxing, judo, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, MMA, right? So, pretty much what those arts philosophically allow for at their inception, right? Judo being a mixed martial art in its inception, right? They allow for a lot of interpretation. They've all become sports, right? And then too, so it's like you look at something like judo, you look at something like karate, taekwondo, mixed martial arts, they all have kicking techniques, right? So if you were wanting to get better at a side kick, would you not study savate, Western kickboxing, American style kickboxing, Dutch style kickboxing, Muay Thai? Like, that's just how I've always approached the game, right? Now, like back to when I'm splitting rent with some karate people, right? It became almost a competition of style versus style. My jiu-jitsu is better than your karate, right? And then it became, like one thing that at the time, now I'm just like whatever. But at the time, they like watch my classes from like the front counter area, right? And watching the classes, they would, oh yes, that's very good, yes. And then I would see them teaching that information in their class, and I was just like, yeah, well, now I'm just like, well, how's that any different than watching a YouTube video? But at that time, I was like, well, I want you to come to my class if you're going to peddle my information that I've been traveling all over the country for. So, that's going to tie better into that future video we're going to do over ego and martial arts, right? But it became almost like a contest of, well, karate is better than kickboxing or whatever it was. And it never needs to become that. It needs to be, okay, what do you have to offer, right? So while in that situation, for whatever reasons, it didn't play out, it wasn't like there was all this bad blood, but I ended up opening my own school not very long after that, right? Split rent for a while, went on my own way. And then, I have several coaches, okay? One of my coaches in particular, I'm wearing the shirt here. It's Japanese Jiu-Jitsu style, right? Taught to him, he's been trained for years and years. And he is also an 8th degree in Taekwondo and is trained with Bill Wallace and Joe Louis and all of these like martial arts superheroes, right? And here's the thing, they are heroes from like decades ago, but for decades long, right? Taekwondo, right? It's not something that gets a lot of credit in like the mixed martial arts world or amongst jiu-jitsu practitioners because it is prejudice in martial arts. But at the same time, it's like after having studied striking arts and doing MMA and competed for years, I go spar with my 50-plus-year-old coach, and he axe kicks me in the top of the head. There's nothing I can do to stop this, okay? So prejudice in martial arts, it's all over the place. People will bully you for doing and studying Japanese jiu-jitsu, and look, there are ways that you can go down a path in martial arts that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, okay? And the longer I do this, that path has like become like sport martial arts. It's like, you just do that guard that way and get punched in the face, right? And it's like I used to talk illy about people who would say what I just said, and then it's like, no, if you study MMA and you do self-defense based jiu-jitsu at all, you would be able to observe that. If all you focus on is sport jiu-jitsu, you will not observe that, right? So it's just like, what lens are you running things through? You're learning a lens through, my Brazilian jiu-jitsu is the greatest martial art of all time, and Aikido and everything else sucks, and I'm better than all that. Or are you saying, man, jiu-jitsu has a lot of the same techniques as these other martial arts. Maybe I should study those martial arts and see if they have a little additional detail that could, through syncretizing those things, could make my jiu-jitsu better, right? And this should be the goal, right? Self-defense, something you never want to use, but you always want to have it, okay? So, what kind of got me motivated to do this video is just observing hypocrisy the whole time I've been doing this and getting older and realizing a lot of these things are just taught to the lower generation of practitioners and school owners, and it gets propagated. And we just had a new student come in, and it's like, he's telling me, he's like, yeah, I do keto, and I'm like, dude, I do some Japanese jiu-jitsu on the side, man. Like, well, I'm a judo sensei, he's got a 6th degree in Aikido, you guys gotta meet. Instead of being like, dude, Aikido's bullshit, get that stuff out of here, which, sadly, this student had experienced in the past, right? And I just, like I said, I'm even guilty of that. And anymore, I just kind of have an approach to this open-mindedness, right? I don't want to train any stupid stuff that's going to get me hurt and get me in trouble and not going to work on like the highest percentage of people. And that included, arriving at that included me like stopping looking at things exclusively through this lens of a stylized sport, right? MMA, referee and fouls. Jiu-jitsu, no strikes, referee, and no fouls, right? So it's like you got to think about that. It's like if there are rules, or the person can't hit you in the contest, or there's a time limit. These are all things that they remove the levels of reality from what we're doing as martial artists, right? And here's the thing. I think you should do it all. I think you should study the sport. I think it should be a pillar of what you do. I think you should study self-defense. It should be a pillar of what you do. And I think you should, pull from outside sources, right? I just recently bought a book. I cited my master's thesis. So I've always been fascinated by these things, right? Wrote my master's thesis on the history of martial arts. And it's an encyclopedia of all the martial arts of the world. It's got articles from all of these different styles, right? And I think it ultimately comes down to just like trying to craft an open-minded philosophy. You can't study all the styles, right? You're gonna have the styles you got into that you like. And for me here at my academy and what we do, it's the ones I mentioned earlier. It's boxing, kickboxing. Those are our striking styles, and that allows for a lot, right? It allows for us to get good with our hands, good with our elbows, our knees, our kicks, and our defense to those things. And we study so many different striking styles to arrive at that. All right, I'm always surveying Savate or Taekwondo or JKD or Muay Thai or Muay Baran. Anything I can get my hands on, right? I didn't bring it. Hey, could have brought my DVD collection with me, or like, I have shelves of these, and it's all these different styles. And some of them are what we do, and some of them are outside of what we do. DVDs, digital information, series, instructionals, and it's just like all helped me arrive at this way of thinking, right? And I will say too, I don't think that this way of thinking is a very popular way of thinking in the community. I've made a joke about this on Facebook earlier. Like we do things like, yes, there are no heel hooks in the gi in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu sport. We train heel hooks in the gi, and when we roll in sparring class, we do heel hooks. I made a joke about like the Jiu-Jitsu thought police showing up. It's a real thing, right? Like people want to police and bully what you do. For example, back on this, I remember when I first started training with my instructor, Mr. Dring, someone had, and I remember researching, like they kind of concluded that it's legit, but this person had like put a thread on the internet kind of questioning credibilities and the legitimacies and all of these things, and then kind of came back and was maybe even a little apologetic. But at this time, this person, they did this one art, and this was this other art, and in their mind, social justice had to be served because their art was the totally correct way, and this other person's art was not. So they attacked them on the internet. Like there are Facebook pages, forums, all of these things in social media dedicated to this idea in the martial arts community. It doesn't really affect the students, but it's just like me as a martial arts school owner, a coach, I see all this going on, and it's just like, look, yes, I get that some martial arts are not rooted in reality, they're too soft, they're bullshit, there's no self-defense value. Should we police those things? Maybe. Should we talk shit about them on the internet or dojo storm them? Probably not. It's not a correct way to be. Like, there's other martial arts gyms in Russellville. I don't have anything to say about them to anybody that comes in here, right? I'm too busy doing my own thing, making my own vlogs, reading my own books, learning and getting better at my own styles, and teaching that to my students so they can do the same thing, right? So, but this guy, long story short, he goes on. This is in the early 2000s, and I'm talking about this internet forum post. And he goes on and ends up doing like fight choreography, doing a lot of the same things that he was talking shit about on the internet. And it's just like people, I hate getting into religion and politics, but I'm using this as a metaphor. People a lot of times are judgmental towards people for changing their beliefs, right? And that's why I wanted to do this video too, because I have changed my beliefs over time. When I've received new information, and as my empirical experience in the world in relation to martial arts and knowledge and history and training has broadened, so has my consciousness in relation to those things, right? So that being said, I can no longer look in martial arts in the same way, and every year that changes. Every year it moves forward, right? My conscious in relation to what I'm doing, consciousness expands, and I look at it differently. And I'm just kind of sharing that process with you guys, right? And I think that's how it should be. I think that you should, if you receive new information, new knowledge, new life experience, you have children, you do all these things, your political views will probably change, right? The more you learn about whatever doctrine you are studying, or philosophy or religion or whatever, like when you have 8, 10, 15, 20 years into studying that, it will not be like your first 5 years. And like that's also another thing I see is a lot of the people that are prejudiced in martial arts are they're stylistically biased, they're younger in the game, or they're sport practitioners exclusively. I mean, there's all sorts of little places that this comes from, and it comes a lot from the community that I'm a part of, right? The boxing, kickboxing, mixed martial arts community, the judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Japanese jiu-jitsu, aikido, all that. You know, like those are all, like, for me, they're all sister arts, right? Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and Aikido, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo. It's Kickson Gracie has a black belt in 3 of those. So, you know, that's good enough for me. And you get a lot of people like boxers like, oh, kickboxing and martial arts is bullshit. And it's like, no, it's not. You probably are just saying that, this is back on the ego thing. Because, you know, if I kicked you in the leg, you would be done. You couldn't defend yourself because all you do is study punches for sport, right? Or you get mixed martial artists, same way. All right, what I just said, what do you know about box? You know, you're a boxer. I'll just take you down. You know, and it's just like that. You get it within the community, and then you get these same people like, I'm a mixed martial artist. You're a Taekwondo practitioner. Like, what do you know, right? And it's like, you know, most, you know, super legit mixed martial artists that I've run into, coach and practitioner alike, would study Taekwondo because mixed martial arts contains kicks, and you want to have the best kicks if you're going to be competing at that level of martial arts competition, right? Perfectly logical, but yet you get this prejudice going back and forth, and it's wild, right? So, but, you know, hopefully this vlog is, you know, challenges some ways of thinking in the community on all sides of the fence. If you're doing martial arts to help people, you know, and you're also doing martial arts to help yourself for self-defense value, to stay in shape, to give you something positive, to put you in a part of the community, you know, you should be allowed to do that. And the way in which you do that should be rooted in reality. And like I said, should it be, you know, the goal of the people in the martial arts community to police that? You know, some people think that. I don't really have an answer to that question. I think that it opens up a lot of problems. But, you know, hopefully this challenges you to think about these things, especially if you're owning a school or you've trained for any length of time, or you've ran into some people like this, right? And I also just want to reiterate, it's like, look, you know, I used to be biased against other styles and things I do. And as time has gone on, I'm like, you know, show me those things and let me use reason and everything I've read and learned and heard and experienced to line that up and see where it fits in the spectrum, right? And this is sort of that Bruce Lee philosophy of just, you know, take what's useful. That's all we can really do. If our goal is self-defense, you know, and there is garbage techniques out there. There are garbage techniques out there that we should worry about and be, you know, cognizant of, and styles. But it's like, should we be talking shit about other people all the time? Probably not. Let them do their own thing. Really has no impact on you. You should do your own thing and be allowed to do so, right? And it's just kind of funny because every time I'm like, man, I really want to put this technique out or something like this, I'm like, I don't know how people in the community would perceive that, because I know how people in the community are, right? Whether that's a heel hook in the gi or whatever it is, right? A weapons defense, even though we train law enforcement here, we do tactical training. Our judo sensei is offering he does concealed carry, he's offering handgun class here at the gym. We're going out to the range after that. It's like, you know, it's some people just that don't do that would have shit to talk about it. And some people that do those things would have shit to talk about it. People, who are you martial artists to be doing this thing? It's like, you know, working on self-defense. That is all. And that's, you know, that's what you should do. Your martial arts should have self-defense value, and that's that. So thanks for watching. This is our 16th vlog. If you're watching on wherever, I'm going to put this on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're watching this on Facebook and you see it all the way through, please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, right? We kind of been posting videos in both locations for a while. We get way more views on Facebook, right? So we kind of post them in both versus sharing them over. So go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the bell to get notifications when we make uploads. We upload quite a bit, and we do voiceovers, instructionals, technique overviews, vlogs, promos. We do a lot of different things. So check out our playlist. We've got a lot of content. We're pushing almost 400 videos right now. So we appreciate everybody's feedback on what we've been doing. Thanks, guys.